Did you know that bees like to take naps together? Or that elephants have parties when a baby is born? Adorable, right? I'm Mike with List 25, and today I'm bringing you 5 facts just like these that'll make your day a little bit better. In the late 1970s, the corpse of beloved entertainer Charlie Chaplin was dug up by a car mechanic who needed money. Roman Wardus and his accomplice Gancho Ganev demanded a ransom of $600,000 for the safe return of a true Hollywood icon. 76 days later, the men were caught, and the famous tramp's body was recovered from a cornfield. A wombat's intestines are a geometric wonder. There's a sentence you never thought you'd hear in a YouTube video. Its droppings are fashioned into the shape of a cube, which are then pooped out and examined by some really quite weird scientists. And these creatures don't mess around, so to speak. They leave behind as many as 100 cubes per night. It's the perfect crime. But be careful when you relieve your bladder in the pool. The chemical reaction when urine meets chlorine can lead to inhaling the likes of cyanogen chloride. This was used as poison gas during wartime. You can swim in it, but it's probably best you don't use it as a toilet. A Swiss study from 2012 revealed that the chances of someone dying increased by almost 14% on their birthday. Why is this? Well, some people tragically take their own lives on their special day. A grim statistic, but it happens. However, you're also more likely to die from a medical condition or an accident. How insane is that? So next time you blow out those candles, you'll know what to wish for. Japan is home to the legendary figure of the ninja. Though an extraordinary mix-up led to over 100 people from around the world applying to play ninjas for tourism purposes. The media reported that Iga, a city identified as the birthplace of the ninja, was having trouble hiring performers to play deadly Japanese warriors at a festival. This turned out to be inaccurate, but they received many surprising applications for the well-paid job of festival ninja. Did you apply? Were you one of these people? Fans of dark chocolate, rejoice! You can reportedly hold back the years on your face by having a yummy treat. According to a study from 2014, you could make skin appear younger thanks to the antioxidant flavanol, which helps blood flow and increases collagen levels. A whole lot cheaper than heading to the plastic surgeon. Though, I probably wouldn't recommend chocolate bars as the secret to eternal youth. There's an upside to a ransom payout. Folks who need to drain their bank accounts to get their possessions or family members back can add this detail to their tax return. Yes, a ransom is classed as tax deductible in some cases. And that's just not me talking, it's the IRS. Check out the Internal Revenue Code section 162 if you don't believe me. There's a sentence I never thought I'd say. Who's the richest man in the world? Elon Musk? Bill Gates? Forget about it. I'm referring to Mr. Chris Reynolds of Pennsylvania, who briefly had approximately 92 quadrillion bucks in his PayPal account in 2013. How did he earn this world-beating sum of money? Well, by doing precisely nothing. It was an error on behalf of PayPal. You couldn't disguise yourself as an armored truck driver, stroll into Walmart and ask them for tens of thousands of dollars, could you? Well, one guy got the deal of a century from an Oklahoma store in 2015. By doing what was basically a security-type cosplay, he got them to hand over around $75,000. Army surgeon Dr. James Berry was a highly respected team member in 19th century England. They also hid an enormous secret from their colleagues. You see, Dr. Berry said they were a he, but actually, they were a she. Managing to pull off that deception back in those days was quite the feat. Pro tip, don't eat the tomatoes on Surtsey Island. It's a volcanic location for one thing, but that's not the reason you should avoid the food source. In 1969, a local Icelandic philosopher and teacher named August Bjarnason was exploring Surtsey when he discovered a tomato plant like no other. A plant that had grown out of a human scientist's toilet business. Imagine surviving a plane crash and then winning the lottery within the same week. This is exactly what happened to Mohammed Bashir Abdul Qadar, who was aboard the stricken Emirates flight in 2016. He cheated death when the aircraft crashed and caught fire. Just when he thought his luck couldn't get any crazier, he bagged a cool $1 million in the lottery. He's been described as the world's luckiest man, which I'd say is pretty accurate. Have you ever heard that eating late at night makes you pack on the pounds? Well, as it turns out, there's some truth to it. You see, late night snacking messes with your hunger signals, making you crave way more food than you need. It's like your body's inner food monster wakes up, demanding chips and cookies instead of, something healthy. Plus, let's be real, those late night cravings never really involve carrot sticks. Does spicy food help you burn away the pounds? Yeah, it does. Capsaicin, that's the stuff in chili peppers that sets your mouth on fire, could be a secret weapon in your weight loss battle, as it amps up your metabolism and even helps your body break down fat. Some studies also suggest it can slightly curb your appetite, basically telling those late night cookie cravings to take a hike. Now, don't expect any miracles. A plate of spicy wings won't magically melt away the pounds, but hey, every little bit helps, right? For centuries, sailors' reports of oceans glowing in eerie, milky white were scoffed at as a myth. But science says they were right. In 2009, researchers uncovered massive blooms of bioluminescent plankton that emit a compound that turns seawater milky. This discovery confirmed the Milky Seas are real and suggests they may be more widespread than ever imagined, with sightings in the Mediterranean, Black, and North Seas. What is a pirate's favorite letter? You might think it'd be R, but a pirate can never give up his love for the sea. One ancient Korean myth told the story of a mysterious star that brought good fortune to the land. The celestial wonder remained elusive despite extensive research, and everyone believed that it was nothing more than a Korean legend. That is until 2019, when researchers delving into historical records made a stunning connection. The star was likely a supernova, a massive stellar explosion. Armed with the new theory, astronomers confirmed the extraordinary discovery, identifying the event as SN185, a supernova 3,000 light-years from Earth. Male lactation might seem like a bizarre impossibility, a tale spun from pure fiction. And yet, it's surprisingly possible. While rare, male lactation can occur and usually signals an underlying medical condition. It can be caused by hormonal imbalances, tumors, hypothyroidism, or even certain medications. So, if a man experiences sudden or unexpected lactation, he should seek medical guidance right away to determine the cause. Witches, magic potions? That's all fairy tales and myths, right? Wrong. Believe it or not, there's a place where people can buy some seriously unusual ingredients for real-life rituals. The Togo Voodoo Market can be found in Lomé, Togo. Here, instead of apples and milk, you'll find shelves overflowing with monkey skulls, dried bat wings, and mysterious elixirs. It's a place where practitioners of voodoo, a fascinating and deeply rooted religion in West Africa, stock up on essential supplies and is a glimpse into the world most of us never see. A bank robbery is shocking enough, but the way this person did it will really amaze you. The year was 1948, and the location was the Imperial Bank at Toshima in Tokyo. The criminal didn't show up with a gun. He had a whole story prepared, plus a mysterious liquid. The robber claimed to be a health official and actually convinced people in the bank to drink the liquid. He said it would protect them against a dysentery outbreak. Instead, it poisoned them, with all but 4 passing away. In a bizarre twist, an artist named Sadamichi Hirosawa was convicted of the crime, though many believe authorities had arrested the wrong man. Part joke shop item, part social experiment, the Chinese product of hairy stockings caused an online sensation when they were released in 2013. Hey ladies, why not avoid male attention by pretending your legs are extremely hairy? It sounds like a prank, but this appears to have been a genuine attempt to address the issue of harassment. Cancer is tough, and chemotherapy is a grueling process. So why did Dr. Farid Fatah deliberately make his patients go through chemo when he knew they didn't have cancer? The troubling answer is financial gain. He deceived those placing their trust in him through various unnecessary treatments. This horrific fraud from 2015 is believed to be one of the biggest in US history. Fatah was given a jail sentence of 45 years. The afterlife is a mysterious place, but one thing's for sure, you don't want to be on your own up there. Which is why grieving Chinese people contact a specialist in ghost marriage on behalf of their dearly departed relatives. Sounds romantic, if a little weird. Sadly, this morbid business can take a turn for the worse. In 2013, a group of men went to prison for involving real corpses in their bizarre matchmaking activities. What's the next best thing to being in the CIA? Well, not being in the CIA and pretending to be an agent, anyway. John C. Beale managed to get time off work from his real job at the Environmental Protection Agency by telling them he was on secret missions for the government. Not only did they believe him, but he pocketed his salary and claimed expenses while doing stuff like visiting family members. This went on for over a decade. Beale went to prison in 2013 after his colossal house of cards came tumbling down. In 1224, a group of starving friars, followers of St. Francis of Assisi, were miraculously saved by a sack of bread that appeared out of nowhere. They attributed this act of kindness to St. Francis himself, and it became the stuff of legend. For centuries, the story was considered a heartwarming myth, nothing more. But scientists recently uncovered a piece of the actual bread sack and confirmed that it was not only from the right era, but also contained traces of ergosterol, a substance linked to bread making. Of course, how it got there is still a mystery, one that, as scientists admit, is more about what you believe than hard facts. For centuries, tales of Viking sunstones, mysterious crystals used to find the sun even on cloudy days, seemed ridiculous. The idea of guiding massive longships with a seemingly magical stone just sounded too fantastical to be true. Then, scientists discovered a natural occurring crystal capable of depolarizing light. By rotating this stone and observing the filtered light, as described in some ancient tales, the sun's position can be determined, even under heavy cloud cover, suggesting that those legendary tools of navigation might have existed after all. Mountain gorillas were believed to be mythical creatures until very recently, the early 1900s. Despite local legends, the animals were hidden from Western science because of their remote habitat and shy nature. And maybe they should have stayed that way. Today, mountain gorillas have joined the endangered list next to giant pandas, tigers, and black rhinos, and only about 1,000 individuals remain in the wild. There are ongoing conservation efforts to protect these gentle giants and their habitat. The idea of a rat king, a wriggling mass of rodents with hopelessly entangled tails, sounds like the stuff of nightmares. For years, most of us believed it was nothing more than a disturbing myth, a grotesque impossibility. And yet, rat kings are real. Specimens have been found throughout history, the most astonishing containing a staggering 32 rats. Even in modern times, discoveries like the 16-rat king found in 2005 prove that nature, in its strangest moments, can be weirder than our wildest imaginations. Traditional folklore around the world is full of tales of death dresses, beautiful garments with a lethal curse. The story of Medea, who sends a poisoned dress to her ex-lover's new bride, is a classic example. And strangely enough, during the 1800s, a vibrant green dye called Scheele's green, made with arsenic, became a fashion obsession. The beautiful green dresses made with this dye hid a deadly secret. It caused horrific suffering and even death to anyone who came into contact with them. Or rather, Jackass, who took the TV show to court in 2002. Mr. Ass wanted $10 million for reputational damage and distress. It's tempting to think that this was just an elaborate stunt by the producers, but no. Jackass was a real person named Bob Kraft from Montana. The reason he changed his name is actually quite moving. Kraft's brother lost his life in a car accident, and he wanted to highlight the dangers of driving under the influence by renaming himself Jackass. The judge ultimately dismissed the case. A man from Delaware lived through a human centipede-style nightmare when doctors working on his colon got their wires crossed. And by wires, I mean the stuff in his guts controlling the direction of his pee and poo. The poor patient had to endure urine coming out of his back passage, while the other thing... yeah, you can probably imagine the rest. Oof. Everyone needed to lawyer up over this major error back in 2007. Needing to empty your bladder is a natural part of life. You could even say it's part of God's plan. Although based on this evidence, it seems to have backfired on the Almighty. Because so many guys are taking a leak against the base of Oldminster Tower, a church in the German city of the same name, it's doing damage to the actual structure. Remember people, pray, don't spray. A Japanese zoo got a raw deal when two hyenas arrived in 2010. They thought the animals were a boy and a girl and encouraged them to mate. This went on for several years without success. So, did these hyenas just not like each other? Nope, they were both guys all along. Not so much zookeepers as in boo-boo keepers. That's a horrible joke. What? I don't claim that one. Not so much zookeepers as boo-boo keeper. Oh, God. That's not my joke. I don't claim that one. Have you got a story that would shock us to the core? Well, our comment section is always open. You know what to do. Oh no, these are so bad. If electronic music is bugging you, then either spare a thought for these guys. Why would you spare a thought for mosquitoes? Or you might be a mosquito. Yellow fever mosquitoes lost their appetites when a track called Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites by Skrillex was blasted at them, as a part of a study in 2019. What a great study. Not only did it stop them from drawing blood, it also dampened their sex drive. Sorry, Skrillex. Did you know that trees release pheromones? They do this when there's trouble brewing. For example, the acacia tree responds to hungry giraffes, releasing ethylene gas when the long-necked creatures decide to eat their leaves. The gassy smell is picked up by other trees, who then make themselves poisonous as a defense mechanism. So yeah, trees talk. Something to think about the next time you pick one to urinate against. What? Who's just peeing on trees? Don't do that. Public urination is not good. It's PSA. The lobster is one fascinating crustacean. For starters, they don't age. This is due to an enzyme called telomerase, which is vital in maintaining telomeres, the protective part of DNA. They can die, but this is typically through using up energy. You see, lobsters molt and need to regrow their shells. This happens approximately 25 times, an exhausting process that ultimately takes its toll. Google is fast, but what goes into that rapid response when you ask it something? Well, they've told us. A mind-blowing 1,000 machines are used to provide the answer to just one question. That certainly puts all those mindless queries into perspective. So yeah, next time you ask a dumb question on Google, just realize how much is going into answering that. Giraffes like big butts, and they cannot lie. And who can blame them? Because when they curl up to go to sleep, their rear end functions as a makeshift pillow. They must suffer the mother of all cricks in the neck when they wake up, though. How far would you go for 20 bucks of marijuana? Well, one person decided to steal a diamond. Only instead of exchanging the diamond for lots of weed, they opted to stick with the 20 bucks worth. I mean, a deal's a deal, right? I mean, the diamond only costs like, what, $160,000? Surely the most expensive couple of drags in history. Nothing says I love and respect you more than paying someone to try and change your sexuality. What was businessman Cecil Chow thinking when he tried to buy a husband for his lesbian daughter Gigi? It was a big payday for anyone crazy enough to try and change the mind of Gigi, who's also a human rights activist. Chow laid out an incredible $65 million for this bizarre scheme in 2012. It probably isn't an everyday thing when someone spends about $1,000+ at Walmart. And I'd say it's a total one-off when someone tries to pay for that with $1 million bill. This happened in 2004, though it was actually a case of fraud. Surprise, surprise. Apparently the $1 million bill was a fake. Who'da thunk? This must rank as one of the most genius marketing moves ever. Student Carlos P. Lacey needed a college fund. So instead of targeting wealthy benefactors, he focused on people who would spare a penny. The trick was that Lacey contacted millions of potential donors, eventually raising $2.8 million, albeit in pennies. As someone discovered with tragic consequences when they accidentally drank liquid methamphetamine in 2013, the middle-aged man's daughter provided the drink, which she'd mistakenly received in the delivery. He'd consume approximately half a glass before becoming ill. The unfortunate man then passed away in the hospital. Why go to several different trees for your various fruits when 8 of them can be found growing on one single tree? Now, this isn't Mother Nature's handiwork, but an ancient human activity called grafting. We've long performed plant-based surgery on our leafy friends in order to create weird and wonderful combinations. And grafting is thought to date back to 5th century China. Despite wanting to be cremated, legendary physicist Albert Einstein went on a wild ride following his death in the mid-1950s. Or rather, his brain went on a walkabout. The culprit was a surprising one. The chief pathologist at Princeton Hospital. Thomas Stoltz Harvey got the strange idea he could change the scientific game by cracking open Einstein's gray matter. How on earth do teeth and eyes go together? Well, ask the whale shark, a fish that has a literally jaw-dropping way of keeping a clear field of vision. Look closely at its eyeballs and you'll see tiny denticles. These serve the useful purpose of repelling any gritty contents floating around in the ocean. And if the surrounding water is too dirty, they can retract their eyes back into their sockets for extra protection. It sold for just over $6,000 back in 2008. This melon was so valuable it wasn't placed on a regular supermarket shelf, it was put up for auction. Talk about juicy. So what exactly is this eye-watering expensive piece of fruit? Well, it's Densuk melon, which is exclusively grown on Hokkaido Island. The Densuk is black on the outside and unusually crispy on the inside. The wallet-crushing item weighs 17 pounds. Densuk melons were made extra famous due to a name check in the Netflix movie The Killer. There's a clutter. And then there's a clutter in the USA. It was established in 2017 that American householders cling to an astonishing 300,000 items which fill up their homes. This suggests that 1 in 4 people here are far from minimalist when it comes to living arrangements. I'm not saying this clutter addiction is particular to the United States. It's just a mind-boggling stat that'll make you look differently at all the stuff piling up in your house. Huh. Could probably get rid of a few things. Who wants some stuff? I can throw things up on eBay. Who wants to buy Mike's stuff? Every town has its boogeyman, a figure of childhood terror. On Staten Island, that name was Cropsy. In the stories, he was always the deranged escapee from the asylum, lurking in the shadows, preying on children. Some even said that he had a hook for a hand. But the legend of Cropsy took a dark turn when several children disappeared. In a twist stranger than fiction, Andre Rand, a man with ties to the abandoned Willowbrook institution, became the focus of the investigation. And even though police could never prove that he was responsible, Rand has remained a prime suspect in the disappearances. The idea of a tree exploding from a lightning strike sounds unbelievable. After all, we usually see them split or catch fire, but not completely obliterate. Surprisingly though, it's very real. When lightning strikes a tree, the intense surge of electricity can superheat the water inside, turning it into steam in a flash. The resulting pressure can literally blow the tree into a million pieces from the inside out. We all know the legends of the Amazons, but were they just a story? For ages, powerful female warriors seemed like pure fantasy. But incredibly, archaeologists have found proof. Nomadic tribes across the Eurasian steppe include women who were expert fighters, hunters, and horsewomen. These ladies did not take a back seat, but played an active part in shaping their tribes' lives, leaving their mark on history. Historical accounts of ancient Rome first mention the presence of massive Roman ships. However, historians thought it was an exaggeration. After all, how could the Romans possibly have built ships as large as modern vessels? Then, an astonishing discovery in Italy's Lake Nemi changed everything. Hidden beneath the water were 2 enormous ships crafted during the Roman Empire. Reaching lengths of over 200 feet, they weren't just ships. They were elaborate floating palaces decorated with lavish ornaments and amenities. The incredible find proved that Roman engineering surpassed all our expectations and that they created ships of astonishing size and luxury. The idea that relaxing in hot tubs or taking long hot baths can lead to infertility has been around for a long time. And as it turns out, consistently overheating your body can throw a wrench into sperm production. The testes, where sperm are made, work best at a slightly cooler temperature than the rest of your body. When they get too hot, those little swimmers can slow down, change shape, or even decrease in overall number. So, if you're trying to conceive, it might be wise to take a cooler bath or shower for a while. Could you get by without using the letter E? I just used it 4 times in that question alone. And I mean, if you can't say a sentence without it, then what hope do you have of writing a novel? I mean, I literally have one in my first and last name. But prepare to be amazed because someone actually did it. Ernest Vincent Wright released a book titled Gatsby in 1939. He used 50,000 words and no E's. Although I could be pedantic and say that his name contains a few. So technically it's on the cover, I guess. Trying to take over the galaxy isn't just time consuming, it's expensive. For example, Darth Vader's iconic outfit from Star Wars has been estimated to cost a super cool $18.3 million. Or whatever that is in galactic credits, I haven't done the conversion. This of course refers to a lifelike version of the suit, designed to keep someone alive who's been badly scarred by their former Jedi mentor. Say what you like about Emperor Palpatine, but he didn't skimp when it came to staff welfare. Or, to be more precise, the smell of green apples can help you if you're feeling trapped. How does that work? In a mind-expanding development, it was found that a fresh appley aroma has an Alice in Wonderland style effect. Remember how things got bigger and smaller? After inhaling an apple, a cupboard-like space might seem like a drawing room, according to a study from 1995. I needed to find these Apple experts, but I held back because I didn't want to stalk them. Apple puns! That whole tough pregnancy means it's a boy thing? Yep, so much more than just an old wives' tale. Recent studies analyzed huge numbers of births, and shockingly, baby boys do seem slightly more likely to cause pregnancy complications. We're still not exactly sure why, but it seems that boys simply prefer to enter the world with a bang and not a whimper. Have you ever heard of the ancient lost city of Tanea? Though many believed it was a mythical city like Atlantis, its rumored connection to the Trojan War fascinated historians everywhere, but no archaeological proof existed to confirm its existence. Until recently. In 2018, a stunning discovery near Kiliamodi, Greece revealed the ruins of the lost city. This discovery overturned centuries of skepticism and confirmed Tanea's place in history. Now we just have to find Atlantis. Do you think haunted dolls are just a horror movie cliche? Think again. The story of Okiku, the doll, blurs the line between myth and scary reality. In 1918, a beloved Japanese doll owned by a girl who died young began to exhibit an impossible phenomenon. Its hair started growing. Scientists verified that it was real human hair, but how it grows remains a creepy mystery. You can still visit the Okiku doll at the Menenji Temple today, if you're brave enough. The idea that studying in the morning leads to better recall sounds like classic advice, but there's science behind it. For most people, memory, focus, and alertness are strongest in the morning hours. So those early birds who love their dawn study sessions aren't just dedicated, their brains are primed to learn. Of course, there are always those night owls who thrive if they study after dark. Ultimately, finding the time that works best for you is key. Have you ever been told not to exercise right after a meal because you'll get a stomachache? When you're digesting a big meal, your body is focused on your gut. Start working out too soon, and your body gets pulled in different directions. This can lead to uncomfortable cramps, bloating, and even nausea. So while it's not a hard and fast rule, giving your stomach some time before hitting the gym can make your workout way more enjoyable. While the distinctive green code that scrolls down the screen during every Matrix movie may look impressive, it actually has an amusing backstory. The filmmakers decided to use sushi recipes as the basis for this key story element. Forget about the red and blue pill, what about the maki sushi rolls? I prefer Mexican rolls. Those are really good. Those are fantastic. What's your favorite sushi roll? Let me know in the comments below. It's going to be a very interactive video. It's underestimated how strong our skeletons are. And here's the stat that'll jop your jaw and generally rattle your bones into the bargain. The human bone is generally 4 times stronger than concrete. Why the heck is that? Well, unlike concrete, which is rigid and immobile, our bones have an organic structure that's not only incredibly strong, but also something that changes and evolves. That doesn't make falling on the pavement any easier, but still. What would happen if you put grapes into the microwave? They'd melt down into a bubbling pool of goo, right? Actually, the result is a bit more dramatic. They produce a bunch of sparks that kind of look like the grapes are trying to enter a wormhole in a sci-fi movie. The effect has been noted when you put 2 grapes against each other or when you cut one in half. An ionized gas plasma is what sets off the fruity fireworks coming from a concentrated point of energy on the surface of the grape. Writing out your notes when you're studying is important. Research shows that those old-fashioned pen and paper notes are way better for your memory. There's just something about the act of writing things down that helps the information stick in your brain. Want to be extra sure you remember stuff? Well, then crack open those notes during a morning study session. That just might be the path to genius territory. Did your mother also tell you to eat the bread's crust because it's got the most nutrients in it? She wasn't entirely wrong. Bread crusts really do contain more nutrients than the soft inside. The baking process causes chemical changes, concentrating things like antioxidants and fiber in the crust. So while the difference isn't enormous, those crispy edges do offer some extra goodness. The idea that eating fish makes you smarter sounds a little fishy, doesn't it? And yet, there's actually a lot of scientific proof behind this claim. Fish is rich in omega-3s, healthy fats that are like rocket fuel for your brain. They can improve focus, memory, and all-around thinking skills. So while fish might not turn you into an overnight genius, it certainly gives your brain a boost. For 2 seconds, imagine a shield so powerful it protects the entire world from the sun's fiery heat. That's the Norse myth of Svalin, the shield of ice wielded by the god Prairie. For centuries, it was just a story, until an incredible 2018 discovery. Scientists found evidence of a massive ice sheet in the North Atlantic dating back to the era when Norse mythology was born. This begs the question, could this natural phenomenon have inspired the legend of Svalin? While we may never know for sure, it does seem that the ancient storytellers described the world around them in fantastical terms, proving that sometimes even the wildest myths can have roots in reality. Forget about the world's smallest violin, the Nano guitar is surely the instrument of choice for sarcastic YouTube presenters. In 1997, this astonishingly small object was constructed at Cornell University. It's comparable in size to a red blood cell, and what's more, you can actually play it. The Nano guitar was made possible thanks to electron beam lithography, essentially a light beam which can be used as a tool. Naturally, though it may seem to think of Holland as a country, it is in fact part of the country known as the Netherlands. Furthermore, you have two Hollands, North and South, which are contained within the territory. Holland is certainly used to describe the Netherlands, but to be accurate, we're talking about a region here. Looking for love? Why not try YouTube? Before it gave millions of bored teenagers and crazy cat owners their break, YouTube.com was reportedly started as a dating site. Back in 2005, Chad Hurley, together with Steve Chen and Jared Karim, wanted their new business to be a go-to spot for lonely hearts online. It failed in this mission, instead becoming a haven for reaction videos, weird dance trends, and all the 21st century nonsense we know and love today. But most importantly, list 25. This wouldn't have been the smartest thing to request if you were in Accra, the capital of Ghana, before 2016. You see, the embassy there wasn't what it seemed. Fraudsters ran a dummy operation pretending to be diplomats. You could get things like visas, but it was all 100% fake. The group reportedly conned hundreds with their scheme. The deception lasted for a decade. While you wouldn't think there'd be a market for used pregnancy tests, well, actually, you'd be wrong. This was demonstrated by a college hopeful in Florida. She reportedly sold not only positive tests, but also urine in an attempt to raise much-needed funds for her education. What would people do with these things? Well, not much, unless you want to pass a drug test or fool someone into thinking you're pregnant. Then they're must-have items. Don't fake a drug test, kids. Don't do drugs. In the immortal words of Mr. Mackey, drugs are bad, guy. A high-profile far-right politician changed sides in dramatic circumstances back in 2012. Csinad Szegedi from Hungary had built his platform on anti-Semitic ideas. But there was the mother of all twists coming. To be more precise, a twist involving his grandparents on his mother's side. Surprise, surprise, they were Jewish. In 2016, it was announced he was moving to Israel. Is there such thing as a Neolithic picnic table? Probably not. Unfortunately for a team of workers, they got the two things mixed up. What appeared to be a broken down old picnic table in the Balearic Islands was actually an ancient tomb dating back 6,000 years. Disastrously, the workers smashed up what they believed was a regular item of furniture. No bonuses for them that year. This next story is a medical miracle from 2017. Ma Van Nyat from Vietnam was having pains in his stomach. He went to the doctor where he probably figured they'd give him some pills. Instead, they found surgical scissors, which incredibly had been down there for 18 years. The guy was truly lucky. We all know that dolphins are both extremely cute and extremely clever, but I bet you didn't know that every bottlenose dolphin actually has its own name. That's right, every baby bottlenose actually invents its own signature whistle, and that sound becomes their personal ID for life. The best part? Their friends remember it. If two dolphins get separated, one will call out using the other's whistle, like shouting a friend's name across a crowded room. And these names stick. Scientists have found that dolphins can recognize each other's calls even after 20 years apart. Incredible as that is, dolphins aren't the only animals with something to say. Scientists studying prairie dogs have discovered that these little critters don't just warn each other about danger, they discuss it in detail. The best way to describe it would be to say that a prairie dog can call out funny-looking human versus bad-smelling human, or even distinguish a tall person from a short one. So if you walk past their burrows and hear their sounds, there's a chance you've just been burned by a rodent. That must suck. Some animals, though, well, they're just looking for the perfect place to take a nap. After a long day of buzzing around, some bees curl up inside flowers and doze off, sometimes even snuggle up next to a buddy. Male bees, who don't return to a hive at night, often tuck themselves into blossoms, using the soft petals as nature's coziest bed. Early risers have even spotted pairs of bees snoozing together, covered in pollen, waiting for the sun to wake them up. However, when it comes to celebrating, no one does it bigger than elephants. Elephants don't just welcome new babies. When a calf arrives, everyone goes wild, trumpeting, rumbling, and crowding around to gently greet the little one. And it's not just elephants in the wild doing this. Rescued elephants at the Sheldrick Wildlife Trust celebrate exactly the same way. Some have even come back years later, like proud parents, to introduce their babies to the humans who raised them. It's basically their version of a baby shower, a welcome home party, and family reunion all wrapped into one. But when it comes to pure cuteness, sea otters might just take the crown. We all know otters hold hands when they sleep. I mean, have you seen some of those clips? It is just the cutest thing ever. But did you know they also like to carry around their favorite tools? Otters have built-in pockets, loose flaps of skin under their arms, where they like to keep the odd snack and even their favorite rocks or cracking open shellfish. And sometimes they've even been known to swim up to humans and show them off. This particular sea otter was so proud of his rock that he just had to show it off to this fisherman. Honestly, how can you not love these guys? The only thing cuter? A puffin. Atlantic puffins are not only devoted partners, often mating for life, but also meticulous homemakers. When they dig their burrows, these seabirds designate a specific side chamber to function as a restroom or bathroom type space to keep their nesting area clean. The little puffin chicks quickly learn to use this separate space so the nest remains clean and tidy. But puffins aren't the only birds with remarkable distinctions. A king penguin named Sir Niels Olaf III holds a royal rank in the Norwegian King's Guard. It all started in 1972 when visiting Norwegian soldiers adopted a penguin as their official mascot. Every few years since then, the penguin mascot, always named Niels Olaf, has received promotions. And in 2008, the current Niels Olaf was officially knighted by King Harald V of Norway himself. Yes, a penguin was actually knighted by a king, and today, he is a major general. Now tell me, have you ever seen fireflies light up a forest together? Every summer, the Great Smoky Mountains come alive with thousands of fireflies flashing their lights at the exact same time. And I'm not exaggerating. It's literally thousands of fireflies blinking together at the exact same time, like it's a choreographed performance. The males flash first, and the females reply with shorter, delayed flashes. In short, it's basically something akin to flirting in the dark. And if you think synchronized fireflies are impressive, you'll love this next fact. The Milky Way has a lot of stars, around 400 billion to be exact. According to our best and brightest, the Earth has roughly 3 trillion trees, which means we've got about 7.5 trees for every single star in our galaxy. That's incredible, right? Mind blown. Anyway, nature isn't the only thing giving us hope. Let me tell you how the most unlikeliest of pairs can create something truly special together. In Washington state, prison inmates and shelter cats are giving each other second chances. The Monroe Correctional Complex has been partnered with Perfect Pals, a cat sanctuary, since 2006, bringing shy, nearly unadoptable cats together with inmates who foster and care for them. The result? Over 850 cats have been socialized and adopted into loving homes, while the inmates learn responsibility, patience, and compassion. Prison officials even say that the prison environment has improved because of these unlikely friendships. So it's been a 100% win-win for everyone involved. So it just goes to show that humanity can shine through in unexpected ways. Just like this next story. In December 1943, during World War II, an American pilot by the name of Charlie Brown was trying to keep his damaged B-17 bomber in the air after a mission over Germany. Things were already going horribly wrong when German fighter pilot Franz Stigler found them. Ordered to shoot Brown down, Stigler saw the wounded crew through the bomber's shattered hull and made a remarkable choice. Instead of firing, he guided them safely past German anti-aircraft guns, saluted, and flew away. The event was classified as top secret, and it took years before the world learned what transpired in the air that day. Brown and Stigler eventually met face to face and later ended up becoming lifelong friends. Let's do one more human story, shall we? Compassion doesn't always happen one-on-one. Sometimes it connects entire communities. If you're American or Irish, you might know about the amazing friendship between Ireland and the Choctaw Nation, but for the rest of the world, it's probably new information. Back in 1847, Ireland was suffering through the devastating Great Famine. Thousands of miles away, the Choctaw Nation, still recovering from their own tragedy, the Trail of Tears, heard about it and wanted to help. Despite their own poverty, they sent $170 to help. While it wasn't enough to stop the famine, the Irish were deeply moved by the gesture of solidarity, and it inspired a bond that's lasted ever since. Honored today with monuments like Kindred Spirits in Ireland and a similar tribute in Oklahoma. Speaking of global unity leading to positive change, depending on your age, you might remember the days when the hole in the ozone layer was all the rage. Well, here's a happy fact for you. Thanks to the global agreement known as the Montreal Protocol, we've phased out nearly 99% of ozone-depleting chemicals, an action that has set the ozone layer on a path to recovery. If we keep up these efforts, experts predict that the ozone layer could return to its 1980 levels by around 2040 for most of the world, 2045 over the Arctic, and by 2066 over the Antarctic. Up next, another remarkable collaboration you'd never expect. In Laguna, Brazil, wild dolphins and local fishermen have learned to work together to catch fish. For over a century, the dolphins here have been herding schools of mullet towards the shore, then signaling the fishermen with a deep dive or a tail splash at the right moment. The fishermen cast their nets, and while they pull in their catch, the dolphins scoop up the escaping fish. More fish for the fishermen, and an easy meal for the dolphins. Scientists even found that dolphins who do this live longer than those who don't. How amazing is that? Strangely enough, working with nature doesn't just help animals. It might be doing something amazing for our own well-being too. And scientists have found an unexpected reason why. There's actually a natural antidepressant in your everyday garden variety soil. The harmless bacterium, Mycobacterium vaccae, can trigger the brain to release serotonin, the same chemical that helps regulate happiness. So, if you're feeling blue, it might be time to go get your fingers dirty. Moving on. We all know tortoises tend to become some of the longest living animals on land, so let me introduce you to the one who's been around for nearly 2 centuries. Jonathan, a Seychelles giant tortoise, has been roaming the island of St. Helena since the 1880s. At 193 years old, he's the oldest known land animal alive today. Born in 1832, Jonathan has lived through wars, revolutions, and the invention of the telephone, airplanes, and the internet. And despite his age, he is still thriving, spending his days grazing in the gardens of Plantation House, the island's governor's official residence, with his younger tortoise friends and longtime mate, Emma. Now, it's off to the woods. Trees might not seem all that talkative, but while we were busy inventing the internet, they were having conversations underground. And they've been doing it for ages. Scientists made the discovery in 1997 and confirmed that plants communicate through a massive fungal network, which they like to call, you guessed it, the Wood Wide Web. This fungal system lets them share nutrients, warn each other when there's any sign of danger, and even allows them to sabotage invasive species and other unwanted plants. So, the hippies might have been onto something after all. Now, did you know that sheep won't forget a friendly face? Yep. Studies from the University of Cambridge have discovered that sheep have the ability to recognize and even remember human faces for up to 2 years. And the best part is that they actually show a preference for familiar, friendly people over strangers. So far, we've covered memory, teamwork, and communication. But what about pure determination? Flop, a young Humboldt penguin at Dudley Zoo in the UK, fell seriously ill after hatching in 2024, and in the process lost the ability to stand. But the zoo's keepers got creative and built her a custom baby bouncer to keep her upright, especially during feeding time. After a month of little penguin-sized physiotherapy and exercises on a tiny treadmill, Flop was back on her feet and rejoined the other young penguins. So yeah, people go to great lengths to care for animals, but sometimes that care looks a little different than you'd expect. When summer temperatures spike, the animals at Rio de Janeiro Zoo get treated to their very own versions of ice cream. To keep them cool, zookeepers hand out special frozen treats. The monkeys get icy fruit pops, the jaguars and wolves get frozen and bloody meat snacks, and the giant anteaters get their customized treat with their very own favorite creepy crawlers. And it's gaining momentum. More and more zoos across the world are adopting the tradition, though we might still be a while away from seeing an actual ice cream truck with horse cream rolling up for the lions. Alright, now let's talk about a very unique kind of library. If books can give you the world, imagine what happens to you when you sit down and talk to someone with a completely different view on life. Well, that's the whole idea behind the human library, a global movement where real people become the books you can borrow for a conversation. It started as a one-time event in Denmark in 2000 and can now be found in over 80 countries. Their goal? To bring an end to stereotypes and to challenge the usual misconceptions through genuine conversations. But if deep conversations aren't your thing, how about the ultimate story of loyalty and perseverance? We've all heard incredible stories over the years of lost pets who somehow find their way back home after getting lost, but the record holder must be Bobby the Wonder Dog. In 1923, Bobby, a Scotch Collie English Shepherd mix, got lost while the family were on holiday in Indiana. His owners did everything they could to find him, but eventually had to go back home to Oregon without him. And you would think that this is where the story ended. But this is a list about happy facts. 6 months later, Bobby showed up on their doorstep, exhausted, skinny, and with his paws worn raw. He somehow walked 2,551 miles across America through forests, rivers, and mountains to make it back to his family. His journey was so incredible that the Oregon Humane Society actually went and retraced his route, confirming that strangers along the way had fed and sheltered him. Homeward bound, anyone? It's a fact that loyalty and determination can change lives, but sometimes quiet innovation does too. In the 60s, Dr. Robert Guthrie developed a simple test that would quietly change the world. His newborn screening test, just a tiny heel prick, allowed doctors to detect metabolic disorders like PKU before they could cause severe disabilities. And yet, despite his groundbreaking discovery, Guthrie never wanted fame. He just wanted to give every child a fighting chance. And he did. His test has saved over 2.5 million lives and counting. Some heroes wear masks, others wear capes. Our next guy wore both. If this story sounds like something straight out of that Jack Black movie Nacho Libre, that's because it pretty much is. Born Sergio Gutierrez Benitez in 1945, he had a rough start and was once almost charged with murder. But he turned his life around, became a priest, and dreamed of building an orphanage. The only problem? Money. So, he came up with a very unique solution. For the next 23 years, he wrestled under the name Fray Tormenta, using his winnings to fund La Casa Hogar de los Cachorros, a children's home that has helped over 2,000 kids, some of whom grew up to become doctors, lawyers, and even wrestlers themselves. Even the smallest acts of kindness can change someone's world. Literally. Have you ever heard of Providence's Good Night Lights? It's the sweetest thing ever. It started in 2010 when Steve Brosnahan, a resident cartoonist at Hasbro Children's Hospital, flashed his bike light at night to say goodnight to the young patients before heading home. Over time, Steve's simple act evolved, and today it's a beautiful nightly tradition that brings the whole city together. At exactly 8:30 p.m., police cars, boats, office buildings, and even construction cranes blink their lights toward the hospital, sending a glowing good night to the kids inside. And the young patients inside can flash their own lights back, creating a citywide moment of love and connection that reminds them they're not alone, making their time away from home just a little bit easier. And that's all I have for you today. Now, it's your turn. Which of these stories made you smile the most? Or do you have your own feel-good fact to share? Drop it in the comments and let's fill this section with some positivity. If you love today's list, you'll definitely want to check out our related video called 25 Interesting Facts to Fuel Your Next Conversation. Trust me, you will never run out of things to say once you're done watching it. Now, go ahead and subscribe, you know you want to, and turn on those notifications so you never miss out on our content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.